So I've been watching some movies. Crazy, I know. The most recent one being called The Ritual. It's a movie about a group of 4 friends hiking through Sweden so that they can set up a small memorial in honor of their friend who just few months ago passed away. The main character's name is Luke. The other 3 are Dom, Phil, and Hutch, and the one who passed away was named Rob. Before his passing, however, the story began in a bar where Luke decides to call Dom a fat fuck.
Oh, I said, can I have some crisps for that guy? I pointed to you and he said that you're not allowed to have crisps anymore. I said, you're only allowed salad. Fucking dickhead.
The 5 were deciding where they should go out for the holidays, throwing out several spots until Luke decides to call Dom a fat fuck again.
Fucking dickhead.
Kinda mean, I don't know why he would do that a second time. Eventually, Rob decides that maybe it's time for the 5 of them to do something new. So he proposes a hike in Sweden, through a path called the King's Trail. We learned that they've been good friends since college, or at least since they were 21, so good long time friends. Rob died when Luke and he decided to buy some alcohol, not realizing that the store they were purchasing from was currently being robbed. Luke hides, while Rob is forced to face the 2 robbers, who starts to demand his valuables. Rob decides to be hesitant about handing over his wedding ring, and this disobedience leads to him being hit in the head by a bat, killing him. Luke, the main character, did look like he was about to assist his friend, however, the sudden blow to Rob's head made him afraid to act. So anyway, 6 months later, they're doing the hike in honor of their friend Rob. Luke is visibly still shaken and completely traumatized by Rob's killing. They find a spot to set up a memorial for Rob and share a drink in his name. On their way back to the lodge, Dom, the fat fuck, hurts his knees, causing him to limp. Luke decides to call him a fat fuck again. Just kidding, that didn't happen. I don't know why I'm going so hard at him, he isn't even that fat.
Fucking dickhead.
So anyway, decide to take a shortcut through the dense forest to avoid the longer travel time. You know already what's gonna sorta happen. Obviously, they get kinda lost, they find an abandoned cabin, they realize something isn't right, and eventually, they find out there is a monster that has been hunting them. Throughout the movie, they get picked out one by one, eventually leaving Luke to be the last survivor at the end, being able to escape the forest. There's nothing wrong with this movie. I mean, definitely it isn't the best. The concept is solid, the monster was cool and had a unique look, and I guess the story as a whole wasn't terrible. It was okay. So what exactly is my gripe with this movie? Well, essentially, I hate the needless conflict and the sheer stupidity throughout. This sort of plot point isn't really particular to The Ritual. It happens all the time, in all different kinds of movie. It's just this is the movie that really made me feel like I want to talk about it. I hate it when a movie creates unnecessary clashes between characters when it doesn't make sense for them to be fighting. The part where the 4 of them found the abandoned cabin, decided to stay for the night to avoid the rain and get some rest. They find that in the upstairs of the cabin, there was a strange effigy. Phil claims it's a sign of witchcraft.
That's witchcraft. Huh?
When they get some rest, each one of them dreams of disturbing nightmares. They find Phil naked and praying to the effigy. Each quite frightened, they leave the cabin and continue their search for the lodge. What pisses me off about this during their walks, Phil rightfully so begins to question what just happened. Hutch dismisses him and downplays it, claiming it was all just make-believe bullshit and ghost stories.
Explain that to me.
It was a nightmare, Phil. You had what's commonly known as a nightmare.
For fuck's sake!
Enough of the bullshit ghost stories, okay? You're starting to sound like my daughters.
Even though Phil was just describing what literally just happened to every single one of them and was obviously shaken up about it. It's not like Hutch wasn't there to witness the occurrences. He was right there. He even covered himself in piss. So why be so dismissive of Phil? Some can retort that maybe Hutch was just trying to avoid spooking themselves even more and keep them focused on getting back. I guess you definitely can say that, but it wasn't like Phil was starting to lose his mind. He was pretty calm about it, especially relative to what just happened to them. Would it not be more sensible to try to make sense of their current predicament so they can all be in the same page and be fully aware of what just happened? Why belittle Phil? Aren't these guys longtime friends? Why not just clear the fog instead of traveling through it? You see, this is an example of what I mean when I find unnecessary conflict between characters annoying. I understand that they're all pretty anxious about the situation, but I really don't think people would try to keep each other in the dark when they find themselves in situations like this. Especially if they've been close friends for a long time. The movie also portrays another stupid trope. It's when characters give a clear-cut evidence something is wrong and gives good reasoning, only to be turned down by some stupid rebuttals. The scene where Luke shows off a bloody mark that was left on him during the night in the cabin, he shows it off to prove that there is definitely something wrong. Instead of being believed, Dom decides to tell him that he probably did that to himself by bumping into a tree or whatever.
Look at this. What the fuck is that? Nothing has done that to you. You're on your own. You've done it to yourself. I fucking what?
What? Why? He was there in the cabin when they all experienced freak incidents. Look, I'm an atheist and I have not a shred of belief in demons or spirits or whatever. However, what would definitely somewhat change my mind is if my longtime best friends all experience unexplainable instances at the same time, and my best friend even showed me that he was physically scarred. I would believe him and not unnecessarily deny his judgment. Why? It's so stupid. People can claim that Dom was probably just trying to avoid spooking himself and claim ignorance. But that is still so stupid to me. Yeah man, the best way to remain intact as a group to maximize our chances of escape is to constantly start conflict with one another and continue being willfully blind to everything. Who cares about carefully examining our environment? Let's go into it blind and disjointed. Group dysfunction and even stupidity can actually enhance a story. It's just the way you execute them, and also maybe thinking about whether the conflict even makes sense for the narrative you're presenting. Sometimes it feels like stories throwing group fighting for no reason, just to add some spice, and I hate it. Obvious decisions or rationales definitely can be ignored during times of great duress. A good example of this scene is in the movie When Evil Lurks. You should watch the movie, by the way, it's pretty good. Anyway, nearing the end of the film, the main character is being warned that the demon they're facing is playing tricks on them and he should not listen to their manipulations. After a long search, the two characters finally find the demon's hiding spot, but can't pull it out due to how heavy the body it possesses is. Also, a bunch of other bodies are piled on it, making it even heavier. Throughout this distress of trying to pull out the demon, they are surrounded by school children who are possessed and consistently yelling false instructions at the main characters to try to get them off track. The entire ordeal was intensely stress-inducing. The main character was filled with adrenaline that the monster that had caused his entire mess was finally at his grasp and he could finally end this entire thing. However, on the precipice of victory, after all the bloodshed and traumatizing events that just occurred in just a few days, he can't pull out the beast from the hole. Not just that, a child possessed is obfuscating his thinking through endlessly yelling falsehoods, and the demon horrifyingly whispering lies and deceit to get him to break mentally, while his partner is yelling at him to avoid listening to them. All these stimuli are too much for one's mind. He doesn't know what to do. His only option to get to the beast is to tear up the stage, he exclaims. The child furthers to muddle the situation by insisting there's an axe in the other room, which could help them break open the stage. The main character's partner continues to warn him that these are lies and deceptions. Their only goal is to get him to separate from her for even a split second. Eventually, the main character's mind breaks. He can't handle it anymore, and follows the little girl's instruction to look for the axe in the other room. The moment he returns, his partner's lifeless corpse is being dragged away by the children. In a moment shrouded by confusion, he made a mistake that cost them dearly. Now the demon can't be killed and all is lost. Okay, I remember I saw a comment on Letterboxd about this movie that complained, why is everyone in this movie so stupid? I disagree with that assessment. There is a fundamental difference between when Evil Lurk characters commit stupid acts and when the ritual characters commit stupid acts. When Evil Lurks already shows from the beginning that the main character doesn't have the strongest mental fortitude. He is sporadic and acts without foresight. Not to mention, the events he goes through are so much more extreme and immediate to his face. Throughout the entire story, he's constantly being fucked by the devil. He watches his wife's child daughter being mauled to death by a dog. He watches his wife being squashed by a car, and his wife being resurrected from the dead. He's consistently being agitated by lies of the devil throughout the entire movie, and his family is constantly being attacked and taken away from him. At the moment when he finally could end it all, he is at his full capacity. He is tired, distraught, and just wants it all to be over with. Now that he's finally at the end, he can't even find a way to pull out the devil from his precarious position. So for a second, he falls for the lies of the devil. And in one slip up, he loses everything. Believable failures and moments of weaknesses. When I saw him fall for the lie that there was an axe in the other room, I couldn't fault him. He was at the edge, was running out of solutions, surrounded by evil he wasn't even aware being real days ago. Surrounded by darkness and with nowhere to go, he follows the voice that says it knows the way out. In a moment of mental weakness, he falters and believes in the devil. That is believable. What isn't believable is a group of 4 longtime friends immediately turning on one another and deciding to be completely thick-headed of their environment. It wasn't like they were constantly being hunted even. In fact, throughout the movie, they had many moments of calm and clarity, time to digest the situation. Instead, they turn on one another, deny each other, and even begin to blame Luke for the death of Rob. Conflict that isn't warranted. It was just so needless. I understand that they weren't the closest of friends, but I can't help but view this is such a cynical way people would act in a moment of horror. Anyway, watch When Evil Lurks. It is a fantastic movie and very gory. And like and sub, I guess.
Fucking dickhead.